Joining me right now is Arizona Congressman, House Judiciary Committee member Andy Biggs. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. You are right there in Arizona, another border state. What do you say when you hear Jen Psaki saying that?
Well, this Biden border crisis is actually inhumane, as any surge is going to be, because the people coming up, and by the way, it is a crisis, Maria. It is a crisis. And I think if you live in the Washington, D.C. bubble, maybe you don't see that. But anytime you have the number of people we have coming across the border illegally, being controlled by cartels, human trafficking, sex trafficking, and drug trafficking, it's inhumane to the people who are coming in illegally. It's inhumane to the people who are here that suffer as well. And by the way, they knew this was coming, and we know that because they're the ones who opened up the facilities in preparation for this surge. And they're bringing COVID across, they're bringing other diseases across. This is a crisis in anybody's rational point of view, but it's too bad that they won't acknowledge that.
Well, I mean, you mentioned COVID, not to mention drugs, not to mention human trafficking as well. Do you think they were surprised at how bad it is? I mean, why reverse, for example, this, long negotiated deal with the Central American nations, the Remain in Mexico policy? To reverse that is just a head scratcher.
Well, Maria, I think that it may have happened sooner than they thought it would. But this is what they want. They don't really want a border. When I say they, I'm talking about the hard left that's in control of the White House and the Congress today. They don't really want a border. And so the policies that they've talked about implementing and the ones that they've so far implemented, they all support a no borders policy. So maybe they didn't anticipate that it would be coming so quickly, but they certainly knew that it would be coming.
Yeah. Well, can you do anything about it, being in the minority, Congressman? I mean, let's look at the overall Democrat legislative agenda. You've got H.R. 1, which some people say is legalizing cheating, by the way. You've also got House lawmakers voting to pass H.R. 8, that mandates background checks on the sale of guns between private sellers, requiring all gun sales to be handled by a licensed gun dealer. A companion bill already has been introduced in the Senate. It comes as House lawmakers passed H.R. 1 last week, expanding mail-in voting, loosening voter ID requirements, so you don't need ID to vote. Mail-in ballots become the standard, even though we know that in the 2020 election, it actually led to fraud in some areas. So what are you going to do about it, Congressman?
Well, we are fighting an authoritarian power grab right now, and that's for sure. So the thing that we have to do is we can use every procedural mechanism that we have left. And by the way, one of the first things that Pelosi did is, besides the draconian lockdown of the Capitol, she changed the rules to make sure that we didn't have as many procedural obstacles to them. But what we can do is we make sure that we enforce those procedural mechanisms that we have to slow them down. And the second thing is, we've got to make sure that the narrative is out there, because they've attacked the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. They've legalized cheating, quite frankly, Maria. That is what's happening in H.R. 1. They've attacked energy independence. They've raised taxes, expanded the welfare state. They've given us the mechanisms for inflation. We've got to make sure we are out there talking about the narrative so the American people will know what's going on. But we also have to make sure that we're using every procedure we can in Congress to slow them down, because it's a majoritarian body. They've got both bodies, and that's what they're trying to do, ram this thing through, because they want to centralize power. That's really what they want.
Yeah, but by the way, you're talking about, you need the platform. That's why this program, Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, the truth tellers become that much more important, because you're not getting the platform on social media. You're being censored. I mean, look what happened right before the election with the Hunter Biden story. So, Congressman, we'll keep at it. We'll keep watching it and certainly spotlight the things that are very important to our audience. Good to see you this morning, Congressman. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.